Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be speaking to you about the transformative impact of artificial intelligence in the aerospace industry. And we heard yesterday how AI is revolutionizing various sectors. And of course, aerospace is no exception to that. And AI is actually driving unprecedented advancements in safety, efficiency, and passenger experience, to just mention a few, in the aviation industry. And Airbus has been exploring AI technologies since very long, and with the first large-scale applications in the 90s using natural language processing and computer vision. And since then, AI has been introduced in Airbus products, services, and, as we just mentioned, also in especially in our manufacturing processes. And we're pioneering the deployment in the aerospace industry, and that's what we're dedicated to. But before diving into the beautiful world of AI in the aviation industry, I'd like to take you on a short journey in the most fascinating of all industries. So, aviation has, since its very beginning, been about revolutions. And it started off with, in the early 20th century, with the Wright brothers, when they took off with their hand-built airplane to the skies. And with this, actually made the humanity's dream of flying reality. So that was the first revolution that we saw. While the beginning of aviation was somewhat adventurous and not necessarily safe, as we know from the legends back then, the second revolution actually was exactly about this: safety, making air travel safe. And with a lot of improvements relentlessly, with technology developments and regulation, actually by now, today, we know that air travel has become the safest mode of transportation at all. So quite a journey we have achieved here. Then the third revolution over time then became the democratization. What originally was for the few and the very rich only, then became in the third revolution really something to the mass, could be available for anybody. Connection for cultures, powering global commerce especially, and accessible to millions. And in fact, about 35% of all products today are traveling by air, in fact. And roughly more than 300 million people away from their homes absolutely depend on air travel. Now, we currently stand at the threshold for the fourth revolution, and that is decarbonization. Now here, for those who are not so familiar, it is always important to look back what we have achieved already, because it's not necessarily known. And we have achieved quite a lot. Since the very beginning of jet era, we have been reducing fuel consumption, which in the end translates to emission reduction. And we have achieved in the last 30 years roughly 50% of CO2 emission reduction, noise reduction even 75% improvement since then. But we cannot rest on those achievements. In fact, we need to reach net zero emissions by 2050. That's our commitment, that's what we're standing for, and that's what is striving us in terms of technology developments and a lot what the aviation sector today is about. And we as Airbus, as the market leader, have dedicated ourselves to pioneering sustainable aerospace for a better and safer world. That's our Airbus motto. And we mean every single word of this sentence. Now, this brings me to today's situation. And to better understand the context, I quickly take you through the key factors of our very specific, actually, industry. Last year, we delivered 766 aircraft. And very soon to come in the next years, we're going to target 1,000 aircraft per year, because we have a very demanding customer base. In fact, our orders books hold far beyond 8,600 aircraft for the next year. So pretty much, I always summarize to say, I can tell you more or less what we're going to be producing in 8 years. That's how far out it is. And looking even further ahead, the market forecasts, the independent market forecasts, predict that in the next 20 years, Air travel demand will increase. In fact, it will double. We're expecting in the next 20 years a demand of new aircraft or 40,000 aircraft. Just as a reference figure, today, up in the sky, the entire flying fleet, all producers, is somewhat around 24,000. So 60% of this additional demand, 43,000 aircraft, is in fact growth. It's coming from the emerging markets. So all this sounds really exciting, and it is. It's a very prosperous future as such. But on the other hand, we need to meet sustainable aviation by 2050. That is what we call the license to produce. That is basically the number one goal we need to meet. So what are the challenges that we're facing in aviation? It's a steep production ramp-ups. As I said, we have very demanding customers, and there's a steep ramp-up every year on year happening. And this, putting at the current situation with the geopolitical crisis, with very complex supply chains, is quite a challenge to master for our teams. Then we have very diverse regulatory landscape. One to mention, or one of the most demanding ones, being export control, which, again, increases the administrative burden, which needs to be managed in a very smart way. And all of this at the same time, as I said, while we have to manage from a technology standpoint to become carbon neutral by 2050. So to tackle all those challenges at the same time, while we're very hard to decarbonize the industry, this requires that we need to find the perfect optimum, and nothing else than the perfect optimum. So we need to, any angle of attack, be it technology, be it way of working, everything needs to be optimized. And we're looking at it from a system perspective, because that's the only way how we can address it and how we can find those solutions if we look at it from a complex perspective. And this requires an end-to-end digital ecosystem. So really here, digitization is the key to make that happen, this very hard challenge that we have. And aviation at the same time has very unique characteristics, just to mention. It has the highest safety requirements, higher than space. A lot of people are surprised by this. Very long life cycles, and complex systems, very tough certification requirements, and often scarce data. So to summarize, aviation today stands at the critical juncture. We're facing really pressing challenges, increasing complexity of global supply chains, and the ever-present expectation of absolute safety. 10 times -9 is what is the safety requirements for aviation, and the importance also for sustainable aviation. So artificial intelligence is playing a very vital role in this, and is the transformative force reshaping aerospace at its core. So now let me guide you through our 4 pillars of artificial intelligence in aviation. First, with AI at Airbus, we can optimize our internal process, obviously, with very large and unprecedented precision. As you can imagine, with more than 150,000 employees, over 170 sites, Airbus is a very complex organization. And utilizing AI-driven analytics and automation is therefore a key to reduce costs, to accelerate decision-making from processes, and also to eliminate repetitive tasks and non-added value tasks. Second item here, AI can play a key role for product safety and excellence by implementing real-time AI mission and operations optimization systems. So here, an example is to use advanced analytics in order to detect anomalies before they actually become risks, before they even become reality, and by designing systems that are smarter, more resilient, and much more reliable. The third element here, as mentioned earlier, decarbonization and sustainable aviation are absolutely key. That's our license to operate for the future. AI in this context is a powerful enabler for improving operational reliability and efficiency. And there's a lot of multiple activities happening, from optimizing end-to-end the travel, dynamic scheduling, minimizing delays, which end in fuel consumption and this way efficiencies, and to really reduce the emissions even during operation, which is the biggest part of our emissions in the entire life cycle. Last and most important, AI empowers our workforce. By automating routine tasks, we really free up the space for them to innovate, to be creative, and to focus on what is solving complex problems. And in my role as head of digital workplace, it fills me really with pride and a lot of excitement, because we're currently introducing in Airbus Gemini for all staff, for all our 150,000 employees. And this is really paving the way. I think somebody mentioned it yesterday. The foundation of the pyramid is exactly this: democratization, making it available, making the AI journey part of everyone's lives at Airbus, and is very fulfilling as such. Operational excellence has always been a backbone of aerospace. And here AI is already delivering measurable impacts. AI enables us to optimize inventories across a highly complex supply chain, anticipating demand and predicting usage of parts, as well as ensuring that the right components are at the right place in the time. This does not only reduce shortages, but it also avoids overstocking. And here's a very good example, the A380, which you most likely know, the biggest aircraft in the world. 2021, we stopped the production, unfortunately, I must personally say. We stopped production of this aircraft. However, the aircrafts will fly for beyond another 25 years, probably rather 30 years. And for this entire time, Airbus is responsible to make sure that this aircraft can be operated and that parts will be available. And our AI tools and AI analytics that we have defined helped us to very precisely estimate and predict what sort of parts will be demanded, which on one hand, to make sure that the aircraft can be operated because the parts are available, but also avoiding overstocking, which is as important in economics as you can imagine. Moving to the second pillar here, AI also plays a key role in waste reduction, which is critical considering the massive amount of metal or of the raw material waste in the overall manufacturing industry. So by analyzing production data in real time, AI actually helps us in our day-to-day operations to identify inefficiencies and to detect quality deviations early on. It also helps us with our advanced optimization algorithms to determine more cost-efficient ways of producing and to perfectly determine the cutting process. And last, perhaps most importantly, AI accelerates decision-making. Instead of relying solely on historic data and human intuition, teams can now have real-time insights and predictive analysis to guide their choices, which leads, of course, to faster and more accurate, confident decisions at every level in the organization. And one experiment that we're conducting very successfully is there to demonstrate how the after-sales teams can provide answers much more quickly based on what is already existing in various solutions and building on those similarities to quickly come up with the optimum and fastest solution possible for our dear customers. And last pillar here on the right, Gen AI, generative AI, is showing great potential to assist humans by enabling them to better manage complex and technical documents. One example here is in our production to really manage and master the standard operation instructions, which are basically the manuals to work from for our production workers, which tend to be highly complex, very technical, detailed documents, which are very difficult to read and adapt in case of, let's say, there is a part shortage or something like that. So these are perfect use cases that we're experiencing currently in our operations. The essence of what makes Airbus a unique company is our products. So coming to this side, our actual flying products. AI is also transforming actually the aircrafts, the helicopters, and space services that we deliver to our dear customers. It's not only reshaping how we work, as I explained it in the previous slides, but redefining really what is possible in aerospace. For instance, starting from the left to the right here, in Earth observation, AI allows us to process vast amounts of satellite data in real time and super accurate. You may have seen those satellite pictures where you can really zoom in and know exactly who has been, how many people have been where. Detecting environmental changes, agriculture is a field of operation as we're monitoring vessels on sea to detect smuggling, for example. Or one example I really like is earthquakes. By the satellites, you can determine just before the earthquake happened how many people were in which places. So that really helps the rescue teams to very quickly get to those areas where the most, or where the humans were potentially buried. So all those typical examples. AI is helping also to process aviation data coming from aircraft and helicopter fleets and providing predictive maintenance capabilities. And here, since 2017 already, the Skywise digital platform, that's how we call it, which uses technologies like time series analysis and anomaly detection, machine learning forecasting, as well as natural language processing, has been improving the predictive maintenance and real-time and limiting the breakdowns of aircraft in service, which is absolutely key, as you can imagine, for the customers to operate. At this time, around 12,000 aircraft, so if you remember the figure I gave earlier, roughly half the flying fleet out there are connected to the Skywise platform, and they are leveraging from real-time data for maintenance, optimized operations, and enhanced fleet performances. So looking at the onboard capabilities, AI also unlocks new aspects of autonomous operations, which can be very critical and important as well. So from taxiing at the airport to get to the gate, or from the gate to the starting, as well as takeoff and landing, intelligent systems can support pilots by reducing workloads and enhancing safety, even to the extent of landing, where it can detect whether there is some objects in the landing field ahead, and they can determine this, again, in order to assist pilots, let's say, in case they're incapacity, for example. So all this is, again, in the aviation key. Safety is absolutely key, and it helps us to further reach new levels of safety and absolute safety. Yeah. AIDAQ, actually, Airbus Silicon Valley Innovation Center, has played a very central role in accelerating progress in exactly this field, as I just described. And last but not least, another exciting frontier is shifted daily by AI. And I was very pleased because yesterday somebody mentioned exactly this example, where we have manned and unmanned teaming of various flying platforms. So you have, by AI-enabled collaboration between crewed aircraft as well as satellites, drones, any of this. Here in this example, you see the helicopter and the UAVs, whether it is for surveillance, whether for logistics, or even defense purposes. So all this is enabled through AI. Together, all these examples illustrate a simple truth. AI is not just an efficiency tool. And for sure, because it was mentioned yesterday and today very often, AI is not a hype. It will not go away. Actually, it will help us to accelerate what we need to achieve. It is an engine of innovation, powering not only internal processes, but actually the next generation of aerospace and what is possible. This brings me to the final stage of my keynote, which I want to end by underlining basically 3 central themes that I would like you to take away from this. Number 1, Airbus and the entire aerospace industry live and breathe safety every day, throughout our design, manufacturing processes, all the way to the implementation of emerging technologies, which of one is being AI. To ensure AI will deliver tangible benefits in the future, we always ensure absolute alignment with our safety standards at any point in time. Number 2, artificial intelligence is already transformative force in aviation. It is not dreaming the future. We are putting the future in reality every day, offering significant improvements from industrial production all the way to passenger experience. And as we navigate the future of air travel, we are embracing AI and achieving our goals and overcoming challenges. And number 3, last, and maybe even the most important, collaboration multiplies impact. AI's potential goes far beyond what a single company or a single party can achieve. Progress absolutely depends on open ecosystems and shared responsibilities. And this really is my belief, and it also gives the excitement of this summit here, because it all brought exactly this point across, and I'm super happy to be part of it. Thank you for your attention, and looking forward to the collaborative efforts that shape the future of aviation. Thank you.